Hello and welcome back again, Realty Pros. Just wanted to give you a quick video today on how to create your transactions using your Porter House Brokermint account. As you can see, I've logged into Brokermint. On the left-hand side of your screen, you're going to see that black column that says Transactions. Click on Transactions, and you'll be able to create a transaction. The upper right-hand corner, you see the button that says Create Transactions. You click that and it'll lead you exactly to where I am now. All right, so just as a tester for today, we're going to go ahead and use the office address as the property address, and we're going to go ahead and just put a price in for the sake of our training today. All right. So you look down at the bottom of the screen in the middle, you see steps 1 through 3. I'm on step 1. I'm going to continue to 2. This is where I would put the full commission. So on my actual transactions, full commission 6%. Listing side as Porter House, you're going to put your listing side commission right there. And then you're going to add yourself as an agent. So you add yourself as an agent to the transaction. And then you assign what the buying side commission is for this transaction, okay? Very important to note, this is the only time within your transaction history that you'll be able to edit or update the commissions. So be sure to do this in the very beginning, as this is step 2 of creating your transaction, okay? So as I've stated, you have included the full commission, your listing side commission, the listing side company, and yourself as the agent to whom that is allocated. All right. That being said, if you're working together on a team, you can add additional agents to this. Say by chance you were working with a colleague and you might say, okay, we're working together, we're going to split this 50-50. So then you may say, okay, let's say 50% to one person, 50% the other person, so forth and so on. Now, whatever that looks like based on your team structure or agreement with your colleague, you input that. So whether that's 50-50, 25, whatever that looks like, just make sure you do it at step 2. All right. Step 3, you're going to go ahead and add the contacts to the transaction. As this is a dummy listing, you're going to add the sellers. Make sure you add the seller's information there. You're going to add the listing agent's information there. And just as an example, I'm going to put my seller. I'm going to use Mr. Porter as the seller. I'm going to use myself as the listing agent. And then I'm going to go to create. Right? Now, as you can see, my transaction has been created. Congratulations. Now, extremely important is the next step. Now that your transaction has been created, you need to add your checklist, because this is where the magic happens. All right. So up at the top, you see add checklist. You see this drop down arrow. Click on it, because this is where you're going to choose the appropriate checklist. So whether it's a DC buying or listing checklist, Maryland buying or listing checklist, and so forth and so on for Virginia or rental, this is where you're going to choose the appropriate checklist from. Okay, be sure to click that drop down arrow so that you choose the appropriate checklist. They are in alphabetical order, so if you do not make a selection, I believe it will by default give you the A, which is the admin checklist, which does not have all the features that you need in order to have a smooth transaction. Okay, so as you can see, I've chosen Maryland listing. And because this is a listing at this point, I do not yet have an acceptance date or a closing date, but what I am going to choose is the actual listing date. Now I'm going to add this checklist to my transaction. All right. Now you can see you have your transaction, you have your checklist. You can go ahead and check that first box because you have added that information for your seller. And now this is where all of your documents are housed. Okay. So as you begin your listing process, you're going to need to complete this listing prep. You'll see this over here. You click on use forms. And what's that? Glad you asked. That's the information that you're going to need for your seller's intake, right? Now, this particular form does not require a signature. If it did, then you would not go past here without adding the appropriate names for those that are going to have to sign in that transaction. Okay. I just want to open this up for you so you know exactly what's here and how to access it. This information is here for you to gather everything that you need. The information that's transaction specific is going to pre-populate, just as you've seen. I've included Mr. Porter as the seller, so all of that information is there. Of course, I would gather all the information for the property, such as that. And as you can see, my information as the realtor has populated on that back page. Now I'm going to save and close this because I want to get down to one other column or tab for you. As you see your signed listing agreement, you also see your property disclosures. Access that, I'm simply going to click on use forms. So I see some agency disclosures. I see financial condition of the property here. Let's see. My property disclosures. If I click on use forms, I'm going to see my inclusion, exclusion, so forth and so on. So I'm going to see all of that information there. And this is how I access those forms. So let's just use this as an example. If I were to go to my property disclosures, I click on use forms and I am able to arrange them as needed if I needed to move them around, or based on the county, if I needed to add another one, this is where I would do that. I would go to add forms if I needed to add it from my Maryland Realtors library, or if I needed to add something from my company library, I could do so simply by going here. A lot of the most used PG card addenda are going to be found right here. So you would just go to add it from one of the appropriate libraries and you simply go to next. All right. Very important to note here where you see signers and other parties, you want to ensure that you remove anybody that is not applicable to the transaction at this point. Currently, this is a listing, so you are not including the buyer or buyer agent's information as of yet. If there is a seller number 2, you do want to put that there. Otherwise, you're going to remove those. And a good practice is to assign the order. As I am the listing agent for this transaction, I want to put the seller's name above mine so that when those documents are sent out for signatures, the seller will receive it first. Okay. So now the trusty little next button right down at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you're going to click on that. And after your instructions, you will see that your documents have been pre-filled. So the information that you typed in when you created the transaction, along with the signature and initial fields, have been updated for you, okay? If you see anything that does not have an electronic field, you can simply use the signature field up here to add signatures, okay? You can use the text field to add text where needed, or the initial fields to add initials where needed. So it's fully electronic. You're able to do everything that you need to do. All right. Now, that being said, you want to be sure that you scrub each one of these documents. The system is going to pull in everything it believes to be important. There are some documents that do not completely fill in for whatever reason, but you just want to scroll through those, add anything that's applicable. You're going to see that some of these will have multiple spaces for the seller to sign that have, kind of conflicting information. So you just want to remove it. So just as an example, on this Maryland Lead Poisoning Prevention Program disclosure, you see you have options to state whether the property is or is not registered. This form is going to put initial spaces in all of those, but you are going to come and you're going to delete those that are not applicable. If it's not applicable, you just delete it. Okay, simple as that. You deleted that and you move on to the next document. All right. If you see multiple spaces that are not applicable, I will show you how to delete many of those at once. But for now, just wanted to show you how to create your transaction, apply your checklist, and complete your listing documents very easily within your Porter House Brokermint account. These documents are almost complete. If I wanted to simply add my text box here, I could add my text. I could continue to add here spaces for my text. I could add my date there. And of course, if you see that it comes in a little bit smaller or larger than you'd like, you can easily adjust that. I can add my signature fields for my sellers. Okay. And I can assign to seller 1 or seller 2 because this transaction only has 1 seller. Going to remove that. And I will add a date to the bottom. All right. As you see, those documents that are PDF, they are not interactive. So you are simply going to add the appropriate fields from the top of your screen. All right, I'm about 90% complete on this document, but I just wanted to give you a quick video so that you know how to overcome that and how easy it is to do. All right, so I'm going to save that. Now, once I am finished updating that document, I'm going to go over, you see it's still on the right-hand side of my screen. I have the option to edit/e-sign. I would click on the document. If I needed to edit it, it's exactly what I would do. If I'm finished with the document and I want to send it over for signatures, you see this little drop-down button in the upper right-hand corner. This is where I would send it. And this is the message that I'm going to get. And I simply click send. And now those documents have been sent for e-signatures. All right, guys, that's how you create your transaction, assign your checklist, complete your documents, and share them for signatures with your sellers. All right, until next time, have a great rest of the day.